So today, in this broadcast, we want to open up the record of the atrocious foreign policies of our government. Now, beloved brothers and sisters, foreign policy is something that the American people know very little about. When foreign governments come, especially after 9/11, Middle Eastern countries came and donated money. And one Islamic leader came and donated $10 million to the city of New York. But he said in his donation that he hoped that America would change her foreign policy. Mayor Giuliani sent back to him his $10 million, but all over the earth, wherever I have traveled, wherever people dislike America, it's not the American people necessarily that the people of the earth are angry with or burdened by. It is the foreign policy of the government of the United States. So, a lot of enemies that America makes, they make them for the American people. So the American people would like to know, why is it that we are hated in the world? Because America's view of herself is that we are a good nation. And by and large, if the people knew better, most of them would do better. But at the top of things, you have a satanic, demonic mind that is the architect of America's foreign policy. This foreign policy has objectives, and this foreign policy has national interests. But the American people don't know necessarily what those interests are, and they don't necessarily know what the foreign policy objective of their government is toward the nations and people of the earth. Now, how you treat the ethnic groups, the racial groups within America, is how you will treat those that come from other nations to be made Americans. So if our government does not have a good domestic policy toward Mexican people, how will they have a good policy toward the Mexican nation? If they don't have a good domestic policy toward Cubans or Haitians or Guatemalans or Hondurans or Jamaicans or Barbadians or Africans in America and in the diaspora, how could America's policies be good for them if they're not good for those who live within the borders of what is called the United States of America? The Chinese, the Koreans, all of those from Southeast Asia, even Europeans have tasted of the meddling of America in the affairs of their nations. So without further delay, I would like to read to you a partial list of the United States covert actions abroad to impose or restore favorable political conditions from 1946 to 1983. This list was prepared by Tom Gervasi of the Center for Military Research and Analysis in 1984. And it was compiled using information available in the public domain. We will also quote from a 1984 edition of Harper's Magazine. It starts in 1946 in Greece. Now, Greece, as you know, is in Europe. The Americans wanted to restore the monarch after the overthrow of the Metaxas government. And through the efforts of our government, our CIA or those clandestine organizations of the country, the monarch was restored. From 1946 to 1955 in West Germany, an average of $6 million annually was sent to support former Nazi intelligence network of General Reinhard Gehlen, and this was considered successful. From 1948 to 1968 in Italy, an average of $30 million annually in payments to political and labor leaders to support anti-communist candidates in Italian elections. And that was considered successful. Again, in 1949, Greece, military assistance to anti-communist forces in the Greek Civil War. And from America's vantage point, it was successful. Now we're all in Europe. In the Ukraine, to organize and support a Ukrainian resistance movement, which was unsuccessful. In 1949 to 1961, in Burma, in Southeast Asia, support 12,000 nationalist Chinese troops in Burma under General Lai Mi as an incursion force into the People's Republic of China, meddling in the internal affairs of others, but this was considered unsuccessful. Back to Europe, Poland, financial and military assistance for Polish freedom and independence movement, unsuccessful. In 1950, in Albania, in Europe, the overthrow of government Enver Hoxha, unsuccessful. In 1951 to 1954 in China, airdrop guerrilla teams into the People's Republic of China, unsuccessful. In 1953 in Iran, the overthrow of Mohammad Mossadegh and his government to install Shah Zahedi cost $10 million, successful. In the Philippines, assassination and propaganda campaign to overcome the Huk resistance and install the government of Ramon Magsaysay. It was successful. In Costa Rica, to overthrow the government of Jose Figueres, unsuccessful. In South Vietnam, America installed the government of Ngo Dinh Diem. It was successful. In 1954, in West Germany, America arranged the abduction and discreditation of West German intelligence chief Otto John and replaced him with Reinhard Gehlen, and that was successful. In Guatemala, in Central America, America overthrew the government of Jacobo Arbenz Guzman and replaced him with Carlos Castilla Armas. Successful intervention, meddling in the affairs of other nations.